Hello friends, welcome back. In this video, we will discuss some more Para Jumble exercises on questions that are generally asked for CAT and other management entrance examinations. We have already discussed a lot of questions. The techniques you might have been familiar by now. So we will now practice the techniques because practice always makes perfect. So as usual, I have provided the exercise in the PDF form in the link that is there in the video description. So I want you to attempt the exercise on your own first, then come to watch the video to maximize your learning. Otherwise, you might have some gaps in your learning. So this is something important. So please do that. All right, we will go to the question straight away. First question, very easy. Most of the questions in this particular exercise are simple. But the problem is on when the statements are simple, the rearrangement or the logical arrangement of the statements in a passage becomes slightly difficult. So this is the regular norm in CAT and other management entrance examinations. Sometimes if the statements are very complex to understand, once you understand them, the rearrangement is not a problem at all. But in the case of simple sentences, the understanding is not an issue, but how to rearrange them becomes a slightly tricky issue. So that is why we will focus on some simple statements in this particular exercise. So as you can see, this particular question is all the statements or except the first statement, all statements are talking about a particular movie that this viewer or this person is watching. It is a Tamil film and it is having a lot of gods in it. And he was watching this movie with rapt attention, means very focused attention. And the heroine sat on a law branch and of a tree in paradise and wouldn't move out of right. And then he is losing himself in the politics and struggles of gods and goddesses. He means the viewer. And this felicity of forgetfulness lasted but half an hour. Felicity means the blessing or a state of intense happiness is called felicity. So he was obviously very happy to lose himself in the politics and struggles of gods and goddesses. Means when you are watching the movie, you are forgetting about the reality. You are completely involved in the movie. That is why the passage says that he is losing himself in the politics of struggles. So the B, C, D, E are all statements concerning the movie. Only option A is talking about another thing that is about his forgetfulness lasting only for a short time. All right, now we will see how we can rearrange the sentences. So which would be the first sentence? You can say that either this felicity of forgetfulness lasted but half an hour, means this is the odd man out. So this can be a first sentence, means he was forgetful about something, then this blessing of forgetfulness lasted only for half an hour because the movie started and this was a Tamil movie and he was very, very much engrossed in it and he lost himself in the politics. So let us let us not discuss which will be the first sentence. We will arrange the sequence of the sentences regarding the movie. So regarding the movie, definitely B will be the first sentence because it is talking about the screening of the movie. Then what? He sat wrapped in the vision of a heavenly world, which some film director had chosen to present. So the film director wanted to present him with a movie which was talking about heaven and gods and goddesses. So he was sitting in rapt attention. This is a very good second statement. Why the other two statements cannot be second statements? Because in option E, it says that and he lost himself. So and he lost himself means you have to first say that he was completely engrossed in the movie and then he forget about the realities. He completely lost himself. That is why this cannot be the statement after B. This can be the statement after C. And why can't this statement D, soon the heroine of the story sat on a low branch? So this is something that is specifically a specific incident in the movie. So this has got some significance. What is that significance? We don't know. That is why we will first talk about the things that happened once the movie started. He became very much engrossed and he completely lost himself, means he was totally forgot about the reality and was completely into the politics and struggles of gods and goddesses. So BCE will become a sequence. Then why this particular the statement, soon the heroine of the story started on a low branch is stated. If you see state this after the statement about the Tamil film, and soon the heroine of the story sat, means you started a film and soon the heroine sat on a low branch, it doesn't feel logical, because you have to then, if the heroine of the story is sitting on a low branch, then why or how he becomes wrapped in the vision of a heavenly world and losing himself in the politics, that is not really logical. So this heroine sitting on the branch because is something important. There is a particular significance to this statement. What could be that significance? See, we are talking about a movie, and generally movies are minimum 1 to 1.5 hours long. But here the passage says that this blessing of forgetfulness, or this state of forgetfulness, lasted only half an hour. So we are already talking about he becoming forgetful about the reality by losing himself in the movie. So this forgetfulness lasted only for a half an hour. So that is why this sentence is connected with option E. So statement A is connected with statement E. So what is that? We can say that this state of forgetfulness, because he was completely engrossed in the movie, forgetting about the reality. So that state lasted only for a half an hour, because the movie was minimum 1 to 1.5 hours will be there for the movie. But why he became alerted about the reality? Maybe some incident in the movie happened. That incident is this one. Soon the heroine of the story sat on a low branch and wouldn't move out of the place. So this incident might have prompted him to think about the reality, or he was shaken out of the what you call state of forgetfulness by this particular incident in the movie, or this particular scene in the movie. He was made to think about the reality. We don't know why, because this might have been taken from the middle of a passage. So if you read the remaining sentences, you will understand why it could have happened like that. So this is why this becomes a very good logically concluding sentence, so that we can see that the movie started, he was very much focused on the movie, which was about a heavenly world, and director wanted to present that heavenly world, and he completely lost himself in the politics and struggles of the gods and goddesses in that particular movie. But this forgetfulness lasted only for half an hour, because something happened in the movie which made him think about the reality. So that is how BCEAD will be the only correct or logical statement. If you rearrange it in any other manner, it will not be too logical, because let's say BECAD means after the movie started and he losing himself, and the word and becomes not a proper word here, because you have to state something about the why he lost himself, because he was sitting with rapt attention. Rapt means very much focused. That is how you lose himself. That is why this will not be a good answer. Then BE, again B is coming here. So that is why it will not be a good answer. And C, what is C? He sat wrapped in the vision. So after losing himself, sitting wrapped means again not correct. So that is why this also may not be the correct. And CABED. C means he sat wrapped in the vision, and then felicity of forgetfulness may be correct. Then B, soon the lights went out. No. So first we have to talk about the lights going out and the movie starting. Whereas here, first we are talking about he becoming very much engrossed in the movie. Then we are talking about the movie starting. Not correct or logical. So that is why BCEAD is the correct answer. This is the way you cross-check your answer by comparing with other options. So this thing is given here. The logically sequenced paragraph is given here. Soon the lights went and the show started. He sat wrapped in the vision of a heavenly world, and he lost himself in the politics. But this forgetfulness lasted only for half an hour, because the heroine of the story sat on a low branch and wouldn't move on. So this might have made him think about the reality. Probably we don't know why this has happened. Only when we see the entire paragraph we will know. But since we are given only an extract, we have to understand that this incident was what made him think about the reality. The forgetfulness lasted only. The forgetfulness was broken after half an hour into the movie, maybe because of this particular incident. So that is how you arrange it. Now go to the next one. This is again a very, very easy question, and here you might not have any problem, especially if you have learned your science well in your school classes where we have talked about or we have studied about pollination, how insects are helping the flowers to pollinate. How they are doing it, they are coming to the flowers to drink the nectar from the flowers, and during the process, the pollen or the seeds of the flowers get attached to the body of the insects, and then they go to another flower for drinking the nectar. So the seeds get transferred from one flower to flower and the flowers reproduce. So this idea, if you have already, then this becomes very easy. Even if you don't have that idea, by reading the sentences, you can very clearly understand that this is the idea. So what could be the first sentence? Very clearly, option B. When animals such as bees, butterflies, moths, etc. pollinate plants, it's accidental. Because all other statements are talking about something that happens after this. So that is why this becomes a very good first statement, D, because it is only accidentally that the insects are pollinating the plants. And what will be the next sentence, B, because it reinforces the sentence or the word accidental. They are not trying to pollinate the plant. So the insects, they are not deliberately trying to pollinate the plant. It was just an accidental thing. So that is why option B becomes the next sentence. Then why they are not trying to pollinate the plant? What are they actually doing? So that is what the option C. Usually they are at the plant to get food. The sticky pollen or sweet nectar made at the base of the petal. So this is the food they are after, the sticky pollen or sweet nectar made at the base of the petals. So that is why the insects go to the flowers to drink that nectar. So DBC becomes the sequence. Then what happens? And when they move to another, when feeding, yes, when what happens when they feed the nectar, the animals accidentally rub against the stamens and get pollen stuck all over them. Stamens means the male reproductive system of flowers are called stamens. So these the insects rub against the stamens and the pollen gets stuck all over themselves. So very clearly, E will be the answer. E will be the next sentence. Then what happens when they move to another flower to feed? Some of the pollen can rub off onto the new plant stigma. So whatever pollen that had got attached to the insects, they will get transferred to the new plant's stigma. So that is how reproduction takes place in flowers or plants. This is how the sentence is arranged. So very clearly, this you should not have any problem. This is one of the easiest questions in this particular set, where D, B, C, E, A will be the sequence. So option 2 will be the sequence. You don't even have to think about the other options, because if you are at this stage of your preparation, you should be able to easily understand the logic of the statements without thinking about the other options. So D, B, C, E, A will be the sequence. I have done the rearrangement here. When animals such as bees, butterflies, moths pollinate plants, it's accidental. They are not trying to pollinate plants. That is why this is called accidental, because their purpose or objective is not to pollinate the plant, but to get food. By the nectar is the food, and when they feed, the insects are rubbing against the stamens and they get the pollen stuck on themselves, and they move to another flower. Some of this pollen or whatever pollen got stuck on them will rub off on the new plant stigma. So it is transferred. This is how reproduction takes place. So option 2 will be the answer. Now go to the third question. All right. This is talking about Greek and Egyptian mythologies, and it says that they are very different in scope and function. Means the mythologies or the mythologies, whatever you pronounce, both pronunciations are correct. Some people pronounce it as mythology, some people pronounce it as mythology. So mythology or mythology, whatever it may be. So it says that these are two different types of mythologies. But the problem is that when Greeks try to understand Egyptian mythology through their viewpoint, some distortion happens, and this is not good. This is what the passage or the rest of the sentences are saying, because the statements in option C and E will give you that idea. Sources like these gave us the habit of perceiving Egypt through Greek or Roman eyes. So when Greek people or Roman people try to understand Egyptian mythology, their own belief systems influence the understanding of the Greeks or Romans, as a result of which the Egyptian mythology gets sometimes distorted or damaged. That is why this has been particularly damaging for the study of Egyptian mythology. So these are the statements, and the example given is Plutarch visiting Egypt and writing a book about the Egyptian mythologies, means concerning Isis and Osiris. Maybe they are Egyptian mythologies, and the interpretations of this person, Plutarch, made some interpretations. He retold the story and interprets many bits about this important pair of deities. Obviously, from this, you should understand that they are Egyptian deities or Egyptian gods. So Plutarch must have been either Greek or Roman person, philosopher, and he visited Egypt and wrote about the Egyptian gods. And these kind of sources are giving rise to this bad habit. So this habit, the author is not really in agreement with this particular habit, because he says that this is damaging. So what is damaging? This habit is damaging. So we can see that C and E form a sentence pair, because we can see that sources like these give rise to the habit, and this is a particularly damaging habit. So sources like these means, which are the sources? The book written by Plutarch. So you can say that BD will come before this, because B talks about how Plutarch visited Egypt and he wrote a book on Egyptian gods, and the sources like these means no sources like the books written by Plutarch. So here actually it should be sources like these. It is given as these. So you may have some confusion of how a book can be called as this. So here the understanding is that one of this is only one such source. So the best sentence or the better word should have been sources like this. But here these is given, so you don't have to worry about that, because when there are no other sources given, right? So that is how you have to apply the logic. Are there any other sources given which indicate that the distortions or the perceptions made by Greek people regarding Egyptians are not good? There are no other sources. The only source is about this particular book. So that is why, even though the pronoun given is these, you have to take it as this. So this is why B, D, C, E will be a sequence where B is talking about Plutarch visiting Egypt and writing a book, and sources like this book are giving rise to the habit of understanding Egypt through Greek or Romanized, and this is damaging for the study of Egyptian myth. Now comes the question of where we will put A, because B, D, C, E, if you can see, you have one option with BDC as a sequence, another option with BDCE as a sequence. So it is in one, A is put in the front, and in the other, A is put at the end. So which is the best answer? So this becomes a problem, because it suits A suits both as an introduction as well as a conclusion, because it says that whatever the links between the Greek and Egyptian mythology were very different in scope and function. So we can say, after saying all this, we can say that there might have been a lot of connections between Greek and Egyptian mythology, but they were very different in scope and function. So this is a good statement. And if you say A, B, D, C, E, that also becomes a good season, because it serves as an introductory sentence. Whatever the links between the Greek and Egyptian mythology were very different in scope and function, then you have to go on describing why they are different in scope and function. So the key to find out which is the better answer is lying in the next sentence. Because what is the next sentence? B will be the next sentence, because if you are talking about this sequence, B will be the next sentence. If you are talking about this sequence, B will be the first sentence. Because what is the problem here? The historian and philosopher Plutarch probably did visit. What is the importance of this phrase? If you are talking about this as an introductory sentence, what will you should say? The historian and philosopher Plutarch visited Egypt during the 1st century, and he wrote a book. And these kind of books are giving rise to the habit of understanding Egypt through Greek or Roman forces. This is damaging, and whatever the links are, the Greek and Egyptian mythology are different. So this would have been a better answer. But here, this probably did. What is the importance of this? So he is talking about something or referring to something that is already stated, because he says that there are a lot of connections between Greek and Egyptian mythology. So that connection is this one: Plutarch visiting Egypt. Plutarch is obviously a Greek or a Roman person, and he did visit Egypt and he wrote a book. But the problem is that he understood Egypt through Greek Romanized, which is not good, which is a damaging thing for the Egyptian mythology. So this becomes a better answer if you state A in the beginning. I again tell you, A is fitting both as a concluding sentence as well as an introductory sentence, but because of the phrase probably did visit Egypt. So if you wanted to use this as an introduction sentence, this probably did is not required. So since we are this means that we are already talking about some connection between Greek and Egyptian mythology. So that you have to state first. So whatever links are there between Greek and Egyptian mythology, they are different. And the historian Plutarch might have probably might have visited Egypt and wrote a book, and this gave rise to the habit of understanding Egypt. So that kind of sequence will become better. So that is why this may not be the good answer. This is the better answer. These things you need not consider because they are not correct at all. So only problem is in deciding whether A should come in the beginning or A should come at the end. So because of this particular uh, construction in the second sentence, A should be the first sentence. So that is why option 3 will be the answer. So you can see this very clearly once you read the sentences in the logical order. Very different in scope and function. Since we are talking about the links, we are talking about probably did visit. So that is why use book concerning retell the give rise to habit of perceiving Egypt, and this is damaging for the study of Egyptian myths. So this becomes a very good answer. I hope it is clear. Now go to the fourth one. So this is talking about the censorship imposed by governments on employees, military, etc., whenever they do something wrong, and this is exposed by the media, the censorship is imposed on the people so that the people do not come to know about it. This is the essence of the statement, and it is talking about WikiLeaks and Julian Assange. If you are a regular reader of newspapers, you know that Julian Assange was the founder of WikiLeaks, a website which was publishing official secrets which were not supposed to be brought into the public, which were deliberately hidden from the public by the various governments, especially US government. So a lot of secrets of the US governments were published by this WikiLeaks, and US imposed a ban on him. They hunted him down and he took asylum in a different country. All these things are public knowledge. So if you have some general awareness about this, you can instantly understand the context of the passage. This is why reading newspapers is a very, very important and very, very a useful tool in your CAT exam and all the management exam. This is very important. That is why I keep on telling people to read newspapers, make it a habit. Even after you qualify in the exam, go to a management school, get a degree, and go to a corporate. This habit will save you under a lot of circumstances. That is why reading newspapers, keeping up with the news and analysis of the news is very, very important as a management professional. All right, coming back to the question. So, but instead the administration went into flight mode. So here this may not be a good sentence because the administration went into flight mode, ordering federal employees. Federal employees means government employees, not to follow the media either at work or home. So here they are asking the people not to watch the media at all, either at work or at home. Thus the attempts to lockdown, again not a good beginning sentence because it states thus the attempt. So because of this reason, there are attempts to close down the website and then assassinate WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange, etc. And these are symptoms of a weak, failing culture unable to deal with its own history. So these are means these kind of attempts. So it could either be the administration ordering employees or the attempt to close the website. So these could be the symptoms of a weak and failing culture unable to deal with its own history. So then, however, the administration doesn't want government workers and troops and ordinary citizens to see how their political sausage is made. So the administration does not want government workers to understand that censorship is always a bad move. So which is the best first sentence? Because all other sentences are talking about some things that should be stated before that. So E will be the first sentence. Censorship is always a bad move. So this is the first sentence. Then what could be the next sentence? But instead the administration went into the fright mode. Can you say that? If censorship is a bad move, then the administration going into fright move. Instead, the administration going into fright move is not the proper sentence. What you should have, you should say that censorship is a mad move, but instead the administration ordered federal, instead the administration came out into the open and admitted the things, etc., would have been a first sentence. So it's a, but instead is not a good phrase that goes with it. So censorship is always a mad move. Then we can say, however, the administration doesn't want. So censorship is not a good thing, but the administration doesn't want government troops to understand the political dealings or the political wickedness or shenanigans going on. So this could be a next sentence. So even though censorship is not correct, the government, since the government does not want government workers to understand what the politicians are doing, they are resorting to censorship. However, so that is a good second sentence. And then because of that, the attempts to, so because the government does not want government workers and troops and ordinary citizens to understand the political sausage. Political sausage means all the political wickedness. That is political sausage. So this is an expression. So that is why the attempts to close down the website. So because the government does not want to people to know about this, they are they want to close the website. So this becomes a good next sentence. And these are symptoms of a weak and failing culture. So these kind of attempts are symptoms of a weak and failing culture. So EDBC becomes a very good sequence where first you are saying that censorship is always a bad move, but the government does not want people to know about the wicked things that governments are doing. So they are blocking the websites and as trying to assassinate Julian Assange, etc. These kind of things are symptoms of a weak country or a weak culture unable to deal with its own history. So very good sequence. But the problem is where would we put A? But instead, the administration went into fright mode, ordering federal employees not to follow the media either at work or at home. So censorship is always a bad move. Instead, but instead. So that is why this cannot be, E cannot be followed by A. So what you can say, there might have been some discussion going on before that. Then instead, the administration went into fright mode. So you can put A as the first sentence. A cannot be the last sentence because after we talk about all these things, then you cannot say that instead the administration went into fright mode, etc., etc. If this sentence had to be there, what would be the previous sentence? We have to say that the government should have come out clean and disclose to the people what are the wrong things they have done. But instead, the administration went into fright mode, ordering federal employees not to follow. That would have been the proper logic. But since that is not possible, that is why A cannot be the last sentence. A can be the first sentence. So we might have been in the middle of some discussion where the writer is saying that government should have come out clean, but instead the administration went into fright mode. And censorship is always a bad move. So then E also makes sense. Why? This kind of censorship is a bad move. However, the administration doesn't want government. So censorship is a bad, the administration went into fright mode, clamping down on the employees. This is not a good move, but the administration doesn't want people to know what the politicians are doing. So that is why these kind of attempts are there. And these are symptoms of a weak or failing culture. So A, E, D, B, C will be the correct sequence. There will not be any other options where you can see if you put E here and A after that, then B will not be a good sentence because but instead and however the administration. But instead the administration went into fright mode. Then the word however does not have any relevance here, right? If you put E here and then A, but instead the administration went into fright mode, then you cannot say however the administration doesn't want. So it will not be a good idea. And if you say B, thus the attempts to block, close down, that is okay. A, B will be a good sentence. When then C, these are symptoms, that also will become, but D will not be a proper last sentence. That is why this cannot be a good answer. Then D, B, C, however, no, you cannot start the sentence with however. Then E, E is also good. Then A also acceptable. C, these are symptoms. What are symptoms? The ordering federal employees. Okay, that also is good. Thus, the attempts, no, that will not be a correct, because once you talk about the symptoms, then thus the attempts to block or close down the website, etc., will not be logical. And last sentence, however, the administration is also not logical. So that is why the only logical sequence is AED. BC. So if you read the sentences in the proper order, you will understand. But instead, the administration, when you define more, ordering a federal employees not to follow a media either at work or home. Censorship is always a bad move. So this, we are talking about the censorship that is imposed here. It is a mad move, but the administration is doing it because they don't want government workers to understand what is going on. Because of which they are blocking the websites, etc. These kind of attempts are the symptoms of a weak or failing culture. So this becomes a very good sequence. So option 2. Now go to the last one. So this is again a very easy thing for you to unjumble. Because it is talking about a fiscal plan. What is a fiscal plan? A plan for the finances of a country is called a fiscal plan. So what are the things that are given here? We need to reduce the spending. That will not be too problematic for the country, and we need to raise the taxes also without hurting the people. So both these things need to be done, and the sum of these revenues. What are these revenues? The revenues generated by doing these two things: spending, reducing spending and cutting taxes. When you reduce the spending and increase the income, what will you get? You will have more revenues, and these can be invested in the pillars of our growth. And what are the then we need to offer every possible incentive to get our countrymen to start new businesses to grow out of this hole. So some hole, we are talking about some problem. These are not talking about any problem. So we cannot say what this hole is being referred to. Maybe some problem, the country is facing some issue. So they want to get the countrymen to start new businesses to grow out of this problem. So that we don't know where we can put this, but what are the BCD will definitely become a sequence, because we are reducing the spending, increasing the taxes, and then using the revenue thus generated. So you can either say BDC or CBD also, means increasing the taxes, reducing the spending. CBD also will be correct. But is there any option with CBD as a sequence? No, CBD is not there in any option. So CBD is not there. BCD is there in one option. So this is where BCD is there. So your answer is already, you got the answer. Even if you have not unjumbled the entire thing correctly, just by unjumbling the 3 sentences, you got your answer, because BCD is the sequence where you say that you are going to cut the spending, increase the taxes, and use the revenue thus generated to invest in the pillars of our growth. And we can say that we need a smarter long-term financial plan. So this is a good first sentence. So we need to have a very good long-term plan, and the long-term plan is like this: reducing spending, increasing taxes, and using the revenue thus generated to invest in the pillars of our growth. And these pillars, which are the pillars of our growth? Countrymen starting new businesses. So A, B, C, D, E will be a good sequence. So that is what is given here. Option 1, A, B, C, D. So this kind of help you will get in many things, where you find a definite sequence, and that sequence will be available only in one of the options. Then you can easily spot without wasting too much time. You can easily use that. Then what you have to do is that you check the other sentences also, whether their places are logical in the sequence. If you find that their places are logical, definitely go for that answer. Do not waste too much time on thinking about it. So that is why this becomes the answer, option 1. We need a smarter long-term fiscal plan, cutting spending, raising taxes, using the revenues to invest in the pillars of growth, and we need to offer this incentive to our countrymen to start new business. So these pillars of our growth is actually countrymen starting new businesses. That is how it becomes logical A, B, C, D, E. So all the questions or at least the sentences or the statements in the questions in this Para Jumble exercise were very simple. Only problem is that when the statements are very simple, unjumbling those statements becomes slightly tricky. So that is why I came out with this kind of exercise where the statements are simple, but unjumbling takes some time. So this kind of skill you need to develop where only one word or two words will indicate which statement should come before or after another statement. So close reading and perfect understanding are required for unjumbling in these kind of scenarios. All right. So I hope you have found the video to be useful. Please like, share, and subscribe if you have found the video useful for your learning. And do give your comments so that I can try to improve the content. Thank you. Bye-bye.